Okay friends, one of the first things we need to do is safely raise and support the car so the front wheels are off the ground. After you've done that, remove all 5 of your lug nuts and then remove the wheel. So now that we have the wheel off, let's just go ahead and put one of our lug nuts on the rotor just to make sure it can't shift around so no debris falls in between the rotor and the hub mating surface. Now on the back side, we're going to go ahead and release this right here. Make sure you check your ABS wire just to make sure there's no corrosion. If there is, you need to make sure you take care of that. And then we're going to come right up here to the securing point. Let's pull that off of there. And then we're just going to carefully set this aside so it can't get damaged. Now let's go ahead and get this clip out of here. Grab onto your brake hose, pull it down a little bit, and then set this aside. Now let's remove our upper sway bar link nut. Just going to use my wrench on the back side so I can hold onto the stud. Let's remove this bracket and then remove the sway bar link from the strut. Now we're going to move along to the lower strut where it connects to the knuckle. We're going to remove this pinch bolt. Next, you want to make sure that you spray along this top area. That's going to help the penetrant get in between this, and then we're going to give this a couple bonks to try to break it free from the strut. Now if you find that hitting it up along here isn't breaking it free from the strut, you can use a chisel that looks like this and then come right underneath this tab, right along here, and we're going to separate the ears. Now by doing this, it's going to open up a gap along here and it's going to let the penetrant in. Now that we let the penetrant soak in, let's give it a couple more bonks. Just be careful because the chisel might come shooting out. Awesome. So now we need to get under the hood and we're going to come over to where our shock tower is located. If you were to look, you're going to see that there's going to be 3 mounting bolts. I also want to take quick note that you definitely do not want to touch this center area here. There's going to be a nut and it's under extreme pressure. Do not touch this. We're only going to remove these 3. That one's out. I'm just going to put it back in a couple threads and then I'll fully remove the other 2. Now reaching through the wheel well, I want to grab onto that strut so there's no way it can fall down. While I lift up, I'm going to continue on by removing my last bolt here fully, and then we'll remove the strut from the car. There it is, friends. All right, friends, now it's going to be time to install our brand new strut assembly. When we put this under here, we want to try to line up our bolt holes with the holes on the top of the strut tower, and now we're going to put in all 3 of our bolts. Now we're just going to finger tighten these. All right, so now before we go ahead and put the lower aspect back together, I just want to mention this pinch bolt. Typically it's a good idea to go ahead and replace it, but overall if you just go ahead and clean it up and make sure it's in good working condition, go ahead and reuse it if you need to. Now it's going to be time to line the knuckle up with the strut. You want to make sure that you have this area facing down into the slot in the knuckle. So I'm just going to use a jack underneath the lower control arm. Carefully jack up on this, give it a nice wiggle until the strut meets up with the knuckle where it needs to be. With a little bit of thread locker on your pinch bolt, go ahead and insert it in there and then snug it up. Now let's go ahead and torque that pinch bolt to 54 foot-pounds. Now let's put our brake flex hose back up in here. Now let's put our clip back in there. Make sure your flex hose is completely secured. Now let's get the ABS bracket back on there. Go ahead and put on your nut. Snug these up. And now let's torque this to 40 foot-pounds. Now let's go ahead and plug in our ABS wire. Listen for the click, give it a nice little tug, make sure it's secured. Now let's go ahead and take this, slide it right in here so it's secure. Remove that lug nut. Now let's go ahead and put our wheel back up on, start all of our lug nuts, bottom them out, and then we'll torque them to 87 foot-pounds. Now with our wheel, so it's just barely touching the ground, let's go ahead and torque these. Now with the entire weight of the car on the ground, let's continue on by torquing our upper strut bolts to 20 foot-pounds. Okay friends, so we got that front strut done. Typically when you do these, you do them as a pair. After you've done both struts, go ahead and get yourself safely down to your local alignment shop.